Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is the finals of, what is it called? The ESL Master Spring? The ESL StarCraft 2 Master Spring 2024 edition. It's something along those lines. This is the grand finals of a premier StarCraft 2 tournament. $100,000 is on the line in total. It's time for a best of 7 series, a Terran versus Zerg. And this is one of those matchups that I will never not be excited for. As in the top right-hand corner, playing with the blue Terran as CVs, we have the man who's considered to be the most dominant player from South Korea. And he goes by the name of Maru. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones. The man currently doing his mandatory military service. Apparently he got time off from the military to go and play in this tournament. We're looking at none other than Serral's main hatchery. I have heard many things of this finals. So as of me casting it, it was played literally yesterday. Maybe not even yesterday, maybe like 12 hours ago or so at this point. I'm not exactly sure, but anyways, I didn't see the games as they were being played live, just because I wanted to go ahead and cast the finals today. Normally the ESL is really good about releasing the replay pack nice and quickly, and this time around it was no different either, so I did retweet the replay pack, so if you want to have a look at some of the games in depth yourself as well, that would probably be the easiest way to go ahead and have a look. This is one of those matchups, man. Maru going up against Serral. I mean, whenever we talk about who the GOAT of StarCraft 2 is, these are the two names that come up more so than any others. In my mind, it's certainly Serral, but like I said, he's currently doing his military service. So, Serral won IEM Katowice in February of this year, and he looked incredibly good. Didn't really... Well, he dropped like, I think how many maps did he drop in total? I think he dropped like 1 map maybe. It was ridiculous. His performance was just so incredibly strong. Currently, the new balance patch doesn't really favor Zerg, very much, right? The new map pool that we have right now, it also is considered to be quite Terran favored. So overall, Zergs have not really been looking very powerful, at least not compared to where they used to be. Now, obviously, they're not quite down to the level of Protoss. Protoss hasn't really been performing nearly as well as I would like them to for many, many years now. But there's no denying that Terran has been looking really solid. Partially due to the map pool, but also due to the balance patch. Life overall, seems to be pretty good if you are a fan of Terran. That being said, we hadn't really seen Serral play, so it's a bit funky. Like, it's hard to really make any real judgment calls about any of these, balance states of the game, because if we're not looking at who's considered to be the highest ranked player in the world, right? Can you really draw any conclusions? Now, so far, by the way, some nice aggression here. Gets 1 drone. I think that was the first drone going down. Yes, it was. Second drone. Not too far behind. Anyways, players like, for example, Raynar, they haven't looked quite as strong. Players like, for example, Dark, I mean, he's looking good. But I'm not completely in love with his playstyle at the moment. It seems rather cheesy. It seems rather, almost forced. And then Serral comes along. And once again, the man is looking ridiculous. So from what I understand, he's had some time to practice in the weekends. I'm not exactly sure how committed the military service over in South Korea is and how much time you really have to invest into it. But from what I understand, he's mostly been practicing in the weekends, and it looks like he is still certainly capable of putting in quite some work. But he mentioned it himself as well, that he wasn't really exactly sure how well he was going to be able to perform at this particular event. It is worth noting, by the way, that the military service in Finland, I believe, is up to like 6-7-ish months. Whereas the one for the Koreans is about 1.5 years. So Serral at this point is, well, still quite a few months away, I guess, from being finished, but finished? Unintentional fun. Anyways, it's not going to be nearly as much a commitment. It depends, I believe, on the branch of the military that you're serving in as well, and I'm not really sure on the details, but... Anyways, it is going to be a Roach-based opener right here for Serral after, of course, defending against the Reapers. Curious play from Maru to try and do this opener, though, on this particular map. I don't love it. I don't love this either. But then again, usually those Reapers do fall off. This map is just relatively easy to defend. I guess the rush distance from the Terran's main base up to this little section of the map, it's relatively short, but this is still a large map, all things considered. So, going for a double Reaper opener, quite uncommon. Looks like we had a bit of a wash here, but 3 drones is, I think, pretty much the best case scenario. Obviously, it does delay the natural, and it does delay the 3rd command center as well subsequently, but this is still a nice and early 3rd orbital command, regardless. One problem, though, that you do run into on this particular map is that even though, well, your main base literally has 2 mineral lines, this expansion over here really feels far away. You can mine out these mineral fields, which would make it a little closer by, but the distance from this ramp all the way down over here is, as far as like a distance to a 3rd base goes, quite substantial. Serral already did make a bunch of roaches, but I think these are mostly just for base defense. Okay. What is interesting, though, whenever these two play against each other, is that Maru doesn't really have... and I don't want to be disrespectful to any of the Korean Zergs, but you can't really compare Serral, for example, to Rogue very well, or Serral to, for example, Dark. Those players just play very differently, so Maru doesn't really get the practice that he probably needs. Whereas somebody like Serral, he gets to practice against, well, many Terran players from the European server. I know that he's been playing apparently against Oliveira for practice as well. It's tough, I think, for Maru in these sort of circumstances, because Serral, you know, worst case scenario, he can practice against Clem over and over and over again, and that's still going to prepare him for a match against Maru quite nicely. Whereas Maru, I mean, is he going to practice against Dark? Maybe, sure, yeah, could be, but I don't think it really prepares him nearly as well for a match against Serral. Alrighty, +1 melee coming up right now. Interesting combination here, because obviously at this point we are on a Roach tech. Roach speed is going to finish. This is a very defensive build here from Serral. This is not really him going for anything super aggressive. This is him just opening up with a macro game. Yep. So we have the Zergling speed started up right now. The Baneling Nest will be finished up in a moment as well, and that's going to be for that transition towards ultimately Ling Bane. Hive is fired up pre-7 minutes. That is something that Serral's been playing a lot. So this is 73 drones. A lot of early game aggression from the Terran, but ultimately still a very fast Hive. And that is certainly going to put a bit of a timer right here on Maru, because sure, Maru's done some damage. His economy is pretty good, but he's not really putting Serral with his back against the wall. He's going to have to commit to a larger attack if he wants to try and catch the Zerg player here before that Hive tech really gets underway. Seems like a lot of Zerg players are very fond of playing straight Hive these days, or at least a lot of the top level Zergs. I'm sure, by the way, they will be studying all these Serral replays as well. Because it seems like a lot of... I don't know, I've seen a lot of games, like, for example, from Dark, where he is desperately trying to end it early. He is desperately trying to just get the game over with like, some sort of mid-game timing attack. And not necessarily every game is a macro-focused one from Zerg. I guess if you're looking to practice your Zerg macro against Terran, at least as far as the build order goes, copying what Serral is doing is probably your best bet, because he was playing this strategy quite a bit. Okay. This is the first time the Zerg really goes across the map. Creep spread, by the way, looking ridiculous. Serral is now done droning, so he's been making non-stop army off of about 70-something workers, which is enough for that gold-based saturation included. So this is roughly about 80 workers on a normal map. But those golden minerals do give him a little bit of a boost. Macro hatchery coming up, adrenal glands coming up. There was one series, by the way, that Serral played in between IEM Katowice and this particular tournament. And that was, I think, like a team match. Like a best of 3 against Coffee. And he ended up winning that particular match quite handily. But other than that, he hasn't shown any games for about 3 months. Kind of wild, actually. Most of the time, every StarCraft competitor plays in like a tournament match pretty much every week. Maybe players like Maru like to skip a lot of events because they prepare for tournaments like this one, but there is no denying that the vast majority of them do play in at least, you know, a tournament regularly. Serral right now not really logging anything in about 3 months' time. All right, so ultimately, this is essentially just a Hive Tech Ultralisk rush with a Viper, no, 2 Vipers even, for support. So these Vipers are just here to not die. So it's Roach Ravager into Ling Bane into Ultras. Those Vipers are for blinding clouds against siege tanks, and apparently Maru is just basically saying, yo, I am happy to meet you in the middle of the map if you want to, but I'm not gonna roll onto the creep too far and go for a big 2-2 all in. That is a pretty common strategy that we have seen. One of the builds, for example, from Oliveira against Serral was to go for an 8 Rex bio all-in. Not the strategy here that Maru is employing. Okay, this is the first time that Serral commits to an attack, it seems. +2/+2, and Adrenal Glands are done. Some nice Blinding Clouds here as well, shutting down at least one of those siege tanks. This 4th base is in a world of trouble. Serral basically creating what seems to be a soft contain for the Terran on 3 bases, and he comes in through right now. Honestly, this Zerg army is looking absolutely massive. The Roaches and Ravagers are being traded out in favor of Ultralisks, so this is really only just the first wave. Oh my god, he just won with the first wave, didn't he? That fight was pretty much flawless. This is really just the first wave of a multi-layered attack. Serral backing off right now. I don't think he really needs to, but he's like, yo, I guess this is... This is what we're doing. Oh my lord. Okay, so he's droning. I don't... This is Serral basically saying, yo, this wasn't supposed to be easy. Yeah, he's droning right now. He's droning, he's going into a spire. This is Serral like adding 4 dots to every I and crossing every T about 6 times as well. I don't think we need to go into drones and the spire and everything else, but he's a little bit concerned. He's respecting the ghost, and probably for good measure. But at this point, we don't even have the ghost cloaking upgrade yet. 4th base gets denied a 2nd time over. Serral absolutely shuts down Maru in game number 1. Well then, game number 2. We find ourselves on Ghost River. I'm trying to figure out what Maru even really did wrong in that previous game. I mean, he decided to go for a relatively passive match. Obviously, he had some early game aggression with the double Rex opener. He did a bit of a bio follow-up as well, but it was a relatively passive match. I didn't really pay attention to, like, supply blocks or anything along those lines, but there is certainly a chance that Maru did make some uncharacteristic macro mistakes, because even Serral seemed to be a little bit surprised with how easy that first big attack of his was. Maru, by the way, is very well known for his late game play. Nobody turtles better than the man Maru. He's been the grandfather, you know, even though he's like 25. He's been the grandfather of Turtle Terran for many years now. When the Terrans first started transitioning towards that late game ghost-based army, and when Ghost Mech first became popular, it really was Maru in my mind who was the pioneer. So him getting overwhelmed that seemingly easily while playing a Turtle League game, right? While trying to just play defensively, it makes me think that he did make a bunch of mistakes along the way. Let's see. There could certainly be a bit of a mental block, by the way. These two have played against each other quite a few times at this point. Serral is definitely one of those players who seems to power up at offline events and offline tournaments in general. Whereas Maru, I mean, he's got the same thing, especially over in Korea. But Maru maybe struggles a bit more overseas. So this particular event was played over in Dallas, which of course Serral, according to Twitch chat, has been a native of Texas for many years. So, you know, hometown hero going up against somebody who had to fly all the way across the pond. It's quite a distance to travel. Serral did make a bit of a loop around, I believe, yeah. I mean, just to make it fair for Maru, who he flew in from Finland, probably just stayed there for a little while. But anyways, that being said, like, it really is something that I think is quite important to discuss. I personally suck at, you know, sleeping whenever I travel. So I don't play tournaments, obviously, right? I don't play tournaments where I have to travel for a very long amount of time, but it is tricky to go halfway across the world, to fly like 10 time zones away, and then to still perform at a reasonable level, right? Because maybe the first day or the first games of the series, you're gonna feel pretty good, but it's very easy to fatigue as well over the course of a tournament, and that is something that, yeah, you somehow, some way have to figure out. Although I'm sure that is something you learn in the military, right? How to fall asleep when you're, yeah, in suboptimal conditions. Well, at least judging from that first game in the series, it is pretty clear that Serral still has that magic touch. We've got the starport coming up right now. We'll probably see a tech lab here as well in a moment. It's once again a quick triple CC opener right here for Maru. Seems to be even a little bit quicker than the previous game. Although this is obviously a 1-1-1 rather than a 2-1-1. Roach Warren opener once again for Serral. Yep. So ever since the Baneling nerf, it seems like a lot of Zerg players. So that's been maybe like 6-7 months or so. Maybe even longer than that now. Anyways, ever since the Baneling nerfs, Zergs have been hesitant to go straight Ling Bane. And it seems like this is the new go-to at the absolute highest level. We do end up with Ling Bane in the end, but apparently we need a ton of creep spread for that first, and maybe even Adrenal Glands before we properly make that transition to Ling Bane. So, yeah, it's just a bunch of roaches. Now, this time around, it is going to be 6 roaches. In the previous game, it's 5. This is double gas as well, but no Ling speed. So, without Ling speed, it's not like Serral is going to go for a big flood of roaches here. Nah, I don't think so. Okay, Hellion drive-by, let's see. Roaches? There they are. Pretty much perfect timing. Roaches in the main base too, ready to body block against these Hellions. I don't like this play from Maru very much, by the way. This is an unreliable play. Like, it's one of those things where sometimes you kill a mineral line and sometimes you kill 2 drones. Now he's killed 7, which is decent. Don't get me wrong, that's pretty good. Nothing amazing. But whenever I see Terrans doing Hellion YOLOs like that, I always immediately assume that they're not feeling very confident. Because now suddenly that Banshee is going to be easy to defend. Normally, at least you do the Hellion drive-by while you are pushing with the Banshee. But in this particular instance, Cloak is going to finish up. He shows the Banshee here. Very important, he shows the Banshee before the Cloaking Field upgrade is done. So Maru overextending there with both the Hellions as well as the Banshee. It's going to give Serral time to prepare Spore Crawlers. Now the Banshee is going to have its Cloaking upgrade finished, but it's nowhere even close to the Zerg side of the map. Yeah, now it finally commits. This is about a 10-second disconnect right here for Maru. Some questionable decisions here. Problem with YOLOing those 4 Hellions earlier, right, is that now these roaches can very easily just control this part of the map, and the queens can all be used to chase down the Banshees. I have purposefully, by the way, not really watched that many games of this tournament. No reaction? Hello? Okay. 2 Hellions go down before we saw any sort of response. Banshees do find the Overseer here eventually, so we're gonna have to be cautious. Anyways, I have literally about a dozen series of games that have been recommended to me from this tournament. And now that the replay pack is here, I do plan on casting quite a few of the games. Now, I actually already have, I think, about 8 or 9 videos in the pipeline. I've already finished all of those. And I will be publishing those as well, but I think that some of these series from the tournament will probably take priority. So I will be uploading, I think, a few, or at least publishing a few of the series. Maybe in the wrong order? I'm not exactly sure. I have an ear operation next week. And I'm not exactly sure how long I won't be able to record videos for. So we're gonna... I figured I'll make some extras. But I've accidentally ended up with a few too many videos than I really meant to make. But honestly, if I have like a... Yeah, I've got at least quite a few good games right here to cast. Yeah. Doctor's gonna be opening up my ear. He's gonna take a whisk it all up, stitch it back together. I'm pretty sure that's the build order for the... Yeah, pretty sure that's the build order. Banshee's coming in, trying to get some value. So once again, this is a very similar strategy here for Serral. Hive nice and early. We're 7 minutes and 20 seconds in. It is... Okay, well, we got some value now as well with the Banshees, finally. Yeah. Hive nice and early once again, pre-7 minute to start up of that. +1/+1 this time around for missile and armor. So no +1 melee just yet. Although that one indeed will be following this up. So I think ultimately this is once again going to be like 2 Vipers, Adrenal Glands, after Link Speed, but very late Link Speed, all things considered. And then from there, we'll just be playing a similar game once again. Alright, so Maru has been macroing up. Second factory coming up at the front. We've got ourselves a command center building as well. That's the 4th base. So no 3 base all in. Perfect timing here for the Terran. Gets the kill. That's the type of stuff we want to see. He scans ahead right now and he sees that there's indeed plenty of stuff. So not really much that can really be done. This is a Viper. Yeah, he's skipping the Vipers, by the way. So this is straight Ultra Cavern this time around. So we're talking like a pre-8-minute Ultralisk Cavern. That is really quick. I think Serral is adjusting from what he saw in the previous game. There was no 3-base all-in or anything like that from the Terran at the time. The Vipers were not really necessary, so we're actually just rushing the Ultras faster. Serral may have just picked up on a weakness in Maru's play, because him rushing up to Ultras at like a good minute quicker this time around is actually quite significant. We don't even have a Ghost Academy yet. So he went straight up to 8 Rex. Okay, there we go, yeah. Straight up to 8 Rex and now into a Ghost Academy. That does mean that Maru is going to have an awful lot of supply available as far as the straight up units go, but the units are not going to be quite as strong as they would be with a Ghost-based army. So this will be very Marine heavy. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have 47 Marines and 1 Marauder at this point. How many tech labs are there? So usually you do have 4 barracks with tech labs, 4 with reactors. So Maru is ending up with the similar result. But I think we'll once again see the floodgate opened, or the floodgates rather, opened as soon as Adrenal Glands and Chitinous Plating are done. Serral already knocked down the rocks over here in the back, so I think we'll probably see a Zergling flank. Yeah, exactly, going up north. He did mix in 2 Infestors this time around. And now finally the Ghosts are coming. We have 0 Ghosts out on the battlefield right now. Roaches and Ravagers are blocking the Ultras. And that may honestly be a bit of a saving grace. We do have a Marine drop inside of the main base too. Ravagers, though, eventually do step aside. Some Corrosive Biles will connect. Some Fungal Growths will connect as well. There's Ultras in the meantime trying to break open the natural expansion too. Queens have fallen. 4 drones so far have gone down. Honestly, this army here at the front from the Zerg may just be a little bit too good. Maru is split up again, going into a 5th command center, trying to execute his turtle style that he's been, well, winning a ton of games and tournaments with over the last year or two. But Serral has just figured out how to counter this perfectly. I think this pre-7-minute hive is really catching Maru off guard. None of the Koreans really play like that, it seems. Or at least not that I can remember, not that I recall. Maybe Solar likes to mix it in. I think Solar might actually be a fan of that. But Solar seems to play a lot more Lurker-based armies instead. This is Serral basically going straight into Ultras. Chi-Chi is cold. And Serral gets another clean game under his belt. Golden Aura is going to be game number 3. Now this is a very defensive map. Usually, Terrans can get away with turtling up here. I don't really like what Maru has been up to so far in this series, though. Honestly, that Hellion Banshee control in game number 2 was the kids would call it mid, okay? I think it was very mediocre. It was pretty decent, but whenever we see Terrans throwing away Hellions into mineral lines and they don't really know what's waiting behind the Queens, it's a decent play, but it's certainly not a very strong play, and it's not really something that we should expect from the strongest Terran player in the world. Clem, by the way, did not have nearly as good a showing at this event as I think a lot of people expected him to. Obviously, day-to-day performance is something that pro gamers, yeah, would like to hear discussed a little bit more. I have asked several pro gamers what they would like to hear commentators talk about a little bit more frequently. And one thing that's brought up quite a bit is that a lot of the pros do enjoy hearing that pro gamers are humans, you know? Like, someday you just have a bit of an off day. Someday you don't play nearly as well. And maybe, yeah, Clem had one of those days. I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, not quite the performance at this tournament that I think a lot of people are hoping from Clem, because Clem, when he is on point, looks like he would certainly be able to, well, be considered the #1 Terran on the planet. Either way, this time around, of course, Maru made it to the grand finals here, but so far it looks to me like he is getting absolutely dominated. Serral not really making any mistakes. Maybe that's the key. Yeah, just don't make mistakes. Listen, don't make mistakes and you might just win games. Yeah, this is honestly really sound advice from Serral in general. Just whatever you're doing, try to not make any mistakes ever. And if you don't make mistakes, you will find yourself winning. It's a good theory for life. We have a couple Marines running around right now. And this is another one of those plays. I don't hate it, right? I don't really mind it. But this is Maru trying to get lucky. This is him going fishing, but he forgot to put bait on the hook. He's fishing for overlords. There are no overlords to kill. Serral, as a matter of fact, right now is running a bunch of links towards the other side of the map because he had vision. Look, he's trying to even freaking bait right now. Look, Serral has seen. He's showing him the fish. I'm a juicy overlord. Come kill me. All right, anyways. Marines are maybe gonna come across it here in the end, and maybe Maru will get a little lucky. Almost a disaster there. Nah. That is gonna be a scout, by the way, that Maru will never expect. Because Maru scouted the entire top section of the map and he didn't see an overlord. And now the overlord is still gonna fly in from that angle. This is honestly something that's very triggering. Maru's like, wait, I covered my tracks like 4 times. How in the world? Huh? Anyways, it'll be a Cyclone follow-up. Okay, so this is a straight 1-1-1 right here for Maru. We have a tech lab at the front, but yeah, I was gonna say, it's not close to the starport, so it has to be Liberator Cyclone? Okay, then. It's a decent combination of units. It can certainly win you games. But I don't think it's gonna necessarily be used as such. I think this will mostly just be Maru trying to put on pressure. The big difference right here for the Terran player this time around is that this is a delayed third command center, right? So in the previous games, he had a third command center pretty much done at this point. Now Serral will see that the starport is already producing something, so he will know that this is not gonna be nearly as quick a third command center. Perfect scout right there from the Zerg. He sees the Cyclones obviously as well at the front. He knows he doesn't really need as many workers at this point in time. As long as the Queens stay alive, he should be A-okay. Yeah, he will see that there's a reactor coming up too. So a Spore Crawler positioned to counter a bunch of Liberators right now is the only thing that really makes sense. This is definitely not gonna be a Banshee or, say, for example, a follow-up with, I don't know, battle cruisers or anything like that. So, again, really nicely done here. And even though there's a massive Terran army on the other side of the map, Serral is droning. These drones are oozing confidence right now. Trying to catch a couple of the units on the high ground. Doesn't quite get that. A few of the overlords do find themselves in trouble. Now, this is a nice bit of pressure here, though, from Maru. But here's the problem, right? This is a command center at like 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Even with a 1-1-1, this is considered late. So, he's been prioritizing a bunch of medevacs. So this is turning into like a bit of a wild and wacky, essentially a 2-base push that needs to deal damage. Because look at the worker count at this point in time. If you give Serral another 10 seconds, he's going to be at like 3-base saturation. But now we're doing a 2-base push. For all intents and purposes, it could even be considered an all-in. Now we're doing it on one of the absolute hardest maps to go for a build like this. Because Serral can just defend the high ground and he's A-okay. He's not even looking to defend the high ground. Serral's defending the low ground, which... This is so silly. Hey, we have a crit... There's an active crit... I found a mistake! Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. He did not spread the creep perfectly. Yikes. Serral right now on camera shaking his head. He's like, oh. He's always whispering to himself whenever he's playing. You always see his mouth moving. He's like, oh, I'm not moving the creep tumor. I think this military situation is really making it difficult for him. So this is not a Roach Ravager style, by the way. Now we're gonna go Ling Bane. Now the creep spread is looking really strong. So how in the world is Maru gonna be able to justify this opening? I don't see it. Now he doesn't need to do a lot of damage, but I think some damage would be really good for him. Just a little bit. He does have an advantage as far as upgrades go, so that's nice, I guess. It's about 10 seconds. 10 seconds is a lot of time. At least that's what my girlfriend told me. We are going to be going into the nice and early armory here. Additional Rex is coming up. So we are going to go all the way up to 8 Rex. We've got ourselves a triple CC, 8 Rex coming up right now from Maru. This is a build that Serral did show a little bit of weakness against, because it's relatively uncommon at the highest level. Problem is that it's basically an all-in. So this is an awkward situation now though, because Maru's been making a ton of units for a very long time, but he hasn't really done anything with it. I think the mules do make his economy quite okay. Serral's gonna be opening up the front door, it looks like, which is a curious decision, but yeah. Problem is, exactly, Serral has sniffed out what's going on, and he will be able to go into that big economical advantage. So this is where the clock starts ticking for the Terran. He needs to do something. This will be the move out. We have 10 Marines on the production tab. No reactors produced right here, by the way, on these additional 3 Rex, but 1 on the other one. Oh my god, we actually just have a big Zergling run by. Zergling's over here. Bio Army decides to turn back around. Oh no, Maru. Maru left the front door wide open. Lings and Banes run in. The entire Terran army turns around. Oh my god. Okay, well, that is game over. That was basically no fighting until just now. Now Serral realizes that, yeah, this is what he's playing against. He hasn't seen a 4th command center. He's setting up another Ling run by. I think this is entirely unnecessary, but he goes for a massive Ling run by and fires up 2-2 when he realizes that the only thing he needs to do is defend an all-in. He remade another base over here at the 6 o'clock position. He's evacuating the 4th base entirely, and he's been making non-stop defensive units instead. Okay, the rest of that army is coming back home. Maru now finds the hatchery that he was trying to kill for so long, but not any of the drones. Queen's in the front, tanking damage. There's loads of transfusion energy. Lings and Banes are rolling in from every angle. The 4th hatchery, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's completely irrelevant, but it looks like it will even stay alive. Wow. Well then, we find ourselves on Crimson Court. Match point here for Serral. I don't think there has been a moment in Serral's career where he lost 4 games in a row. At least not since 2018. I don't remember any of that. So, Serral could cheese 4 games in a row, and he would probably win at least 1 of them, right? It almost seems like Serral is a bit of a mental block for Maru. He is just not getting it done. I have a hard time, I'm not sure if it's exactly because of what Serral is doing, because Serral's not really doing anything too crazy here. He's playing relatively straightforward StarCraft. But I think Maru may just be a little bit intimidated. At least the way he's playing and the vibe I'm getting with his units. He's just playing very cautiously, or a little too YOLO, but at least there's no confidence. And Serral starting up the +2/+2, while he knew that his opponent was onto an all-in. I mean, those Evo chambers were just dripping with confidence. It was almost dirty, okay? Him going 2-2 and a second wave of Ling run-bys there was just a little bit dirty. Yeah. You only ever do that because you have the money, you have the resources, and you're like, ah, whatever. I don't need more army. I can kill my opponent's army right now. And if somehow, some way, the stars align for the Terran and the game still goes on for a lot longer, I guess I will have 2-2 on the horizon at least, so I can really nail down my advantage here. Alright, now Crimson Court is of course a bit of a funky map. Looks like we're going for a 15 hatch into some very quick mining here, so this is all very deliberate. Alright. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not sure if I 100% agree with it yet. Alright, he decides to return back. He's like, I don't really, yeah, no, let's wait. We can mine that out. So if you want to take the minerals, you can obviously just run straight on over towards the 3rd base location too. If somehow, some way Maru is going for some weird all-in on the right side of the map, no reason to give him an extra line of attack. Oop. So honestly, ever since 2018, Serral has looked like this, right? I mean, just ridiculously dominant. He did have some moments where I guess he was being, I don't know, not quite as strong, or at least he didn't look quite as strong, but he's always been considered, at least by pro gamers, to be the best. I guess when we had that whole couple of years of everything being online, right? In like, when was this? 2019, 2020, 2021, something like that. A lot of this stuff was taking place online. Serral did look a little bit less powerful, but I think that's mostly due to the fact that at offline tournaments, a lot of the pro gamers do notice a bit of a dip in their skill level. Serral really doesn't seem to have that. He seems to, yeah, enjoy playing in front of crowds quite a bit, and he's looking very solid in that regard. And then I guess last year, he ended up losing a few rounds of Zerg versus Zerg in Premier tournaments. I believe it was once against Shin at IEM Katowice, and then once at Gamers 8 against Solar. But other than that, I mean, even though he didn't win literally everything, he still looked really, really strong. Then I guess the majority of us sort of assumed that he wouldn't look nearly as strong because he's now doing his mandatory military service. Yet here we are. This is a much quicker Roach Warren, by the way. Or at least it seems like a much quicker Roach Warren. This is like a 3.5 minute Roach Warren, so... Do we have anything weird? Well, we'll once again have 2 gases. No, I'm assuming this will once again just be about 6 roaches. 5 to 6 roaches for base defense. And then into a super fast hive. Just a similar theme to match number 1 and 2. This is straight triple Rex here, by the way, from Maru. So... he decided to go triple CC into triple Rex. Now finally we have a factory coming up. This is a pretty scary opener though. Yeah, Maru is going to be able to go for a nice and quick third command center. His economy will be able to match that of the Zerg relatively easily. And he is cutting corners left, right, and center. Imagine, right? 20 Zerglings out on the map right now. They have speed, they run, he knows nothing. Maru has no clue. So imagine 20 Lings on the map right now. They would surround these Marines, and then the third command center is never going to get up. So this is Maru flipping a coin and hoping it lands where he wants it to, and apparently so far he's good to go. These roaches are being made defensively, but he hasn't seen the Roach Warren. He hasn't seen the lair. He hasn't seen anything. So this is dangerous play for Maru, but it looks like he's getting away with murder. 1-1 coming up. Reactor will be able to switch on over to that starport here in just a moment. Combat shields immediately after Stimpack, so the attack right here for Maru will likely be just a whole load of Marines, a bunch of Medivacs, and then 1-1 with Stimpack and combat shields done. Another barracks is coming up, and then 1 more as well, so we're gonna go straight up to 5 Rex. 4th base in the center of the map gets denied, nicely done right here by Maru. Gets a creep tumor as well, but this is dangerous play, man. I mean, now it's a lot of Marines, but a couple minutes ago, this could have gone absolutely horribly wrong, and it would have made Maru look like quite the fool, but... Alright, so Serral actually, notices this now, and he's switching it up a bit too, it seems. This is Roach Speed together with 1-1 again. Unless he throws down an infestation pit right now, I don't think he'll be going for nearly as quick a hive. This looks like it's just going to be straight up Roach Ravager play. I guess he's saying, yo, if you're going to be playing the most basic of basic strategies ever, I'll be joining you as well. Yeah, I think he's doing this because he realizes that this will be the attack. 4th command center does start up, by the way. Maru needs to be very cautious. As soon as Zerg hits this big power spike, he's going to need something that isn't Marines. So we have 1 siege tank available at this point. It just spawned. I was going to say, Serral is ready to go for an attack. This is a response to him seeing this Terran opener, but he's going Roach Ravager into Nidus Worm. There's already an Overseer in the back of the main base. There's a dark spot. Somewhat. I don't think that's enough space. No, I think Maru should be able to see the Nidus Worm coming in. Okay, Marines do catch a few of the roaches. That's nice. Serral decided to idle on 69 drones using that rich Vespian Geyser. Nidus Worm does not get scanned. There is vision. Maru. No. Oh, he doesn't see. He doesn't notice. Yeah, now finally a siege tank rolls around. Is that in time? He had vision of it. Roach is at the front, by the way, too. Okay, he's not even committing. Yeah, he didn't even put roaches in there. It is just there to scare the Terran. I don't think Serral expected Maru to react that poorly. I mean, he got it done in the end, but Siege Tank sieging up immediately gets biled down. Now suddenly the Marines find themselves unsupported because there was another tank, but that one is in the main base ready to deal with a Nidus Worm that isn't even coming, that wasn't even doing anything. Serral now starts up the transition towards what will probably end up being Ling Bane. I'm not convinced he needs it. There's no 2-2, by the way, so that is worth noting. No, I think Serral's actually just gonna double down here. Just full Roach Ravager with a Link Flood on the back it is. Another nice set of Biles. That Siege Tank in the main base really putting in a lot of work. Looks like, we have a contamination. The factory was shut down because of that Overseer that gave vision for that Nidus Worm. And Serral wins the grand finals of the ESL Master Spring 4-0 over the man who's considered to be the best player from South Korea.